One of the most important things when writing a romance story is to write a good love interest, since with a good love interest, it makes the person who is watching or reading that said romance story to root for that character to be able to be with the person that they love, which is why it's important that they are likable. Otherwise, you're not going to care about their journey of getting with the person that they want to be with. And there have been many countless romance stories that have been able to do just that, create great main love interests and characters that you want to root for. However, unfortunately, this isn't always going to be the case, and there's going to be some main love interests that are just simply going to be so insufferable that very quickly you start losing interest in them. And it also doesn't make things better if the main love interest makes or does terrible decisions. This could lead them to being the most hateable part of the romance story, and that's exactly what happened with the character Himari Inuzuka from the series Can a Boy-Girl Friendship Survive? A story that revolves around Himari and her best friend Yu Natsume, a boy and a girl who have been best friends for quite a while, and for the most part seems to have had a very good friendship with one another, with even them having a similar goal, and that being is to open up a store so that Yu can sell his accessories, since one of his favorite things to do is to make accessories with flowers, something that he's not been able to talk with anybody since it doesn't seem that anybody has that same interest. That is until he met Himari, and ever since their start of their friendship, they have always had each other's backs and are always together. But since this is a romance story, it comes to no surprise that Himari has special feelings for Yu, not those feelings of just wanting to be best friends forever, but wanting to become something else. However, she's reluctant to express how she truly feels towards him because she doesn't want to end their friendship. She feels like if something were to happen, like Yu rejecting her, then that will be the end of their friendship, because there's no way they could ever go back to how things were if this was only a one-sided love. And that is something that Himari fears, which is why for such a long time she's been suppressing these feelings, and she hasn't really been truly honest with Yu about how she views their relationship. And that's at first fine, because it's understandable where Himari is coming from, especially for those people who have been in these kind of situations where you may be friends with somebody, but as time goes on, you view that person who you consider a friend, now you view them as somebody you want to be with for the rest of your life. But because of that, it just makes things even more complicated, as now you're wondering what you should do. Should you take the next step and be honest to that person how you feel, or are you worried that that friendship that you had with this person is going to be awkward if they don't share those same feelings that you have with them to you? And because of that, it just makes that friendship not really work anymore, because all you're really going to think about from now on is that the same person who you consider the best friend was also the same person that rejected your feelings. And it's because of this situation that many will not want to experience in their life that some people choose to hide the romantic feelings of that person you are friends with. And while this series could have easily done a deep dive of this concept, it managed to fail it miserably, as very quickly we see that Himari has a bad habit of teasing Yu about her true feelings towards him. There's always moments where Himari asks Yu if he sees something in her that's just more than a friend, or makes moves that nobody who just views you as a friend would ever do. And this makes Yu sometimes even think that there may be a chance that Himari really has something for him, only for the last second for Himari to tell him that she was just messing around with him. And it's because of this teasing that just becomes a part of Himari's character. And while it was not a huge deal at first, it starts to become very annoying quickly, as you just know that the only reason why Himari is doing this is because she's not being honest with herself, and instead of just being honest with you, she chooses to confuse you even more with her actions and what she says, to the point that it just leads to you thinking that everything that she says or does that can lead to one to believe that that person has feelings for you not be taken seriously, because it's been done numerous times where the moment he thinks something's about to happen between one another, Himari treats it like a joke he fell for. But this wouldn't last long, as another girl would of course become part of Yu's life, and that girl is Rion Enomoto, a girl who actually has a history with Yu, because as it turns out, Himari wasn't the only girl that had a friendship with Yu. It was also Rion when they were kids, and of course, just like Himari, Rion also has feelings for Yu. And at first, Himari tried to act like this didn't bother her, and she even went as far as to try to help Rion to try to get her and Yu together. But as the more time that Rion spends time with Yu, the more she makes advances towards him, it really starts to bother Himari, to the point that she really starts to act more differently towards Yu because of this. And while these moments moments were, I guess, the purpose of them being done in order to make us feel bad for Himari, it did quite the opposite, because what these moments truly did was just make Himari look dumb, because she had all the time in the world to be honest with Yu about how she feels, but instead she just wasted her time teasing Yu, which led to Yu being confused. And now that a girl who also has the same feelings as her towards Yu and has a longer history with Yu than her, all of a sudden now she's worried about the state of their relationship, and now she's worried that there may be a chance that Yu may end up being with another girl. Now she wants to be truthful towards him, and it doesn't get any better because it reaches to the boiling point that when Himari is told by that Rion also wants to be part of the dream that he has of opening a store with his accessories by her being a model, this does not sit well with Himari, because she wanted to be the only model for Yu. She wanted to be the one that was the one to be the first to get Yu's accessories, because that meant so much to her, because it made her feel special and it made her feel that she was the most important person to Yu. But now that Rion is involved, it just makes her now believe that she's going to be put to the side now that Yu has another girl that he could use for his dream, and this will lead to Himari ultimately ending the relationship between her and Yu, declaring that they are no longer friends, something that even caught Yu by surprise and off guard, because he was not expecting this escalation to happen so quickly. But it only gets worse when we come to realize that this was all just Himari's plan to make Yu feel bad. She wanted him to make him feel like he was the reason why their friendship ended, and make him feel that this was all his fault and not hers. And after this moment happened, it made many people, including myself who watched this series, really not care about Himari any longer, and it just made us want to root Rion to be the one to end up with Yu, because really what Himari just showed in these moments is the fact that she is not a great person. She was willing to gaslight and manipulate her best friend into thinking that he was the problem and not her, and as if we couldn't hate her even more, she even goes further by telling Yu that she's planning on going to Tokyo to be a model so she could pursue her dreams and what she actually wanted to do with her life, only making you feel worse, which is something that he shouldn't feel bad because it was not his fault. This is something that also happens a lot with this series, is the fact that unfortunately Yu, our main male lead, doesn't have a spine whatsoever. He could have easily just ended things right there and not care about Himari any longer, since this all started because of her. And while yes, there are a few moments after these events happen in which Yu does confront Himari and tells her that this is how things are going to end between them, then she could just do whatever she wants and he's not going to care. Only for the next thing to happen is seeing Yu wanting Himari to not leave, wanting her to still be with him because he still cares about her, which is something that he shouldn't be thinking or feeling, because at the end of the day, all of this happened was because of Himari and not him. And to make things even more ridiculous, then Rion gets involved in this, even though, let me remind you, this is the same girl that Himari was trying to help her and Yu get closer, only for her to backstab her because she had feelings for him as well. It just doesn't really make any sense as to why so many people are trying to fix this problem when Himari is the one who should be fixing this problem, because this is all her doing. And all I got from this whole situation is that Himari never faced any consequences for what she did. She got away with all this pretty easily because the next thing you know, they're still friends, they're hanging out, she's still teasing him, she's still doing whatever she wants. Although it isn't until the very end of the series in which they do try to make Himari's actions have consequences, because even though she had no intentions of going to Tokyo to do what she wants, as it turns out she actually did sign up for an agency of modeling, and this agency actually had Rion's sister Kureha, and unlike Rion, she has a sharp tongue and she says what's on her mind. And the reason why she's here to begin with is because she came by to get Himari, because she as well as the agency made a lot of preparations for Himari to join, only for her to back out of it as soon as she and Yu made up. And this of course did not sit right with Kureha, so now she wants Himari to go to Tokyo no matter what. And while this should have been a problem that Himari should have solved because this is all her fault, Yu decides to get involved and try to fix this problem, which once again, it just makes Yu look like an idiot, because why on earth is he trying to once again fix one of Himari's problems that she created herself? This just makes it even more obvious how these two shouldn't even be together, because all this relationship really is a relationship that has a lot of problems, mostly because of Himari. There's nothing wrong with the main love interest having flaws and not being perfect, because that's bound to happen. There's no such thing as a perfect person. But Himari just comes across somebody who is very quick to make decisions without thinking it through. Like all these actions she did, it's very clear that she did not think things straight and did not realize how this could affect her and the other people around her, only for her not to get punished because of these actions, because everybody else has already solved the situation and has made the problem go away. Like, what's the message I'm supposed to get from all this? Is the message is that as long as you have people that are willing to solve all the problems that you made, then everything is going to be fine and you don't have to worry about it. If that's the case, then that's a pretty bad message to be giving to people. And it's during all this that Yu finally is honest with how he truly feels about Himari. He was already kind of contemplating that he really did like Himari all this time, but he just really didn't understand if that was really what he was feeling. But after being pressured into facing the reality of his feelings, he comes to realize that he is in love with Himari. And when Himari is planning to go to Tokyo to face the consequences of her actions, which is something that would have been great to see, that of course doesn't happen because Yu ends up trying to prevent Himari from going anywhere, and they ultimately end up finding a solution with Kureha so that Himari doesn't have to go to Tokyo with her any longer. And after this, we see that they start to become much more open with one another and they start to really reveal their true feelings with each other. And while normally this would be a scene that you would feel happy for, not in this case, because it really isn't that good to see these two still be together after everything that happened between them, because really Himari did not change as a person at all. There was barely any character development with Himari because once again she just never faced any consequences for what she put her, supposedly the person she loves, through. And I think that's really upsetting, because had there been a moment in which Yu completely disconnects from Himari after realizing just how unpredictable and sensitive Himari is, this could have made Himari probably realize that it's not Yu that was the problem, it was her. And then this will lead to her trying to fix her problems and become a better person. Because if you compare Himari with Rion, is night and day. Unlike Himari, Rion actually did care for the people around her. She could have easily not forgiven Himari when she was supposedly trying to help her, but instead she actually ended up still talking to her and even trying to help her out when she was dealing with all the problems she created. And with Yu, she could have easily at any point when there was clearly cracks in Himari and Yu's friendship, she could have taken advantage of that and just simply be by Yu's side, then slowly convincing him to be with her, but instead deciding to help Yu with his problems with Himari and even giving him advice as to how he should take things with Himari moving forward. It demonstrated that Rion prioritized others rather than herself, and because of that, the moments when she declares that even if Himari and Yu have the same feelings for each other, she is not going to give up and she is still going to try to make Yu hers. And normally I would be a setup this and I would just say this is a losing battle, but knowing Himari and how much of a problematic person she is, I'd say Rion should just go for it, because really Rion is the best person that Yu should be in a romantic relationship with, because unlike Himari, who makes his life a living nightmare, Rion is the opposite, because as long as he's happy, she is happy, and that's the kind of person that you should be around with. And with that, that's the end of the video. If you have plans of watching this series, just know that you are easily going to be frustrated as you watch each episode. Believe me, it was tough to watch all of this because that's how bad Himari as a character is. But yeah, that's about it. See you next time.